Hey, it is Friday newsletter time. Hope everybody's has had a great week. Thank you for the comments and the likes on Vicki and I's video yesterday. Vicki actually is behind the camera today.
And staying there.
Yeah. But Dad's busy working on orders and doing stuff, running the laser, and I'm going to take advantage of the fact that Vicki's got today off, so she's actually filming for me. But anyway, yeah, sorry about the dark video coming from the Italian restaurant yesterday, but the food was phenomenal.
We had atmosphere.
Yeah, it was atmosphere. We should have filmed in the lobby, though, where there was tons of light. And it was really a cool lobby. If you guys ever get a chance, Bootleggers in Vegas, cool place. Great food. Anyway, so sorry about the dark. Hopefully this one will have a little bit more light in it. So what I want to cover today is a conversation that I've had with several people over the last week or two about putting color on your signs. If you guys have been watching me for very long, you know that I really don't like doing that. I do it in certain circumstances, and I'm going to do it on a sign today, but I really would rather that the customer does their own painting other than the spray stuff. However, there are times where I will do it, like I did it for that collaboration for the Eric Rossi, the big eyeball. I did it for him, and I'm going to do it on a sign today. It's actually another collaboration, but I want you to go back and review on the playlist. Look under the newsletters and look at newsletter number 34. That will kind of give you a background of ways to get color on your signs. And then also check out Coffee and Questions 10/27/15, and the title is Paint Pens. And that's what I'm going to start with here. So you guys, on that video, you saw me kind of talk about these paint pens, and I'm going to actually show it again. The reason that I'm not going to use these paint pens on the sign that I'm going to do today, and I'll kind of talk about the difference. So I've just got a little, this is one of the paint pens. You got to shake it up, but I have shaken it up and it's going pretty well. So if you got something like this where you're just going to do kind of an outline, which is what I did on that Coffee and Questions, it works pretty well. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to put my magnifiers on. I can see a little bit better with my magnifiers. Oh yeah, that's better. Alright, so if you're just going to do an outline around here, it works pretty well. And this is completely unfinished. This doesn't have any finish on it at all. It's completely just sanded off. So if you're going to do an outline around something, or you've got a really big area that you're working with, these are going to work pretty well for you. However, the downside of these is it's a real blunt point. And
hold it up again.
Okay.
Okay.
It's a real blunt point. So it gets kind of tough if you've got really small areas not to hit the other things, something that's next to it. So, and then the other reason is that it soaks in pretty well. So there are instances where I would use these and recommend them, but there's, on the sign that I'm going to show here in a minute, this kind of gives you an idea. On the sign that I'm going to show here in a minute, I would rather not use these, and I'll tell you why when I get into that. But these are pretty cool. I do like them. But if you're, again, they have their good and their bad points. Now, in the old days, again, I don't do much of this, but in the old days, when we first started coloring our signs, we put a varathane finish on all of our signs back when Dad started in the 70s. And varathane at that point, and I know varathane was owned by Flecto at that point, and I think it's still available today. And I don't even know, it's been so long since we kind of got out of the painting on the signs. But you can see that kind of gives a pretty nice little highlight to that bass. But like I was saying, Varathane in those days came just like the Minwax spar urethane. Varathane in those days also came in colors. So you would have Varathane, and then you would have your Varathane that would be on your sign, and then you could put colored Varathane on top of that. And that's the way you would want to do it, because you wouldn't want your Varathane, like the spar urethane, has kind of an amber color. If you put white letters and then you put your urethane on top of your white, it kind of turns it yellow. We learned that kind of the hard way back when. Actually, Dad learned that, and I learned from him. So, I guess my point is that since then, we have always put our color on, if we're going to use like a brush-on color, we always put it on top of the finish. And you could do the same thing with these paint pens, but the problem with these paint pens is you have the control factor with the paint pens is really tough if you've got some really fine parts to paint. My tongue's not working today. So here is a sign that I'm getting ready to paint. And for this is another collaboration. This guy's got this is another car channel. I love the car YouTube guys. Those are the ones that I'm kind of concentrating on now as far as collaborations. By the way, thanks to any of you that are new fans, because of Matt Farah from the Smoking Tire gave me an Instagram shout out the other day, and I got a whole ton of new followers. So thanks again, Matt. If this gets back to you, you're probably off driving a car in Italy or something right now. But anyway, this is a really cool car show as well. It's kind of a news program, and I've been in touch with Derek D. He's kind of the host on it, and so I'm doing this collaboration. I'm going to ship this off to him here pretty quick. So anyway, so the where I got this logo and what I'm going to paint is, this is actually his design. This is his logo. So I've got to put yellow on the arrow and the lane part. So that's what I'm going to do now. But I number one, the yellow that's in the paint pens doesn't really match this yellow, because I've tried it. And number two, these, when the paint comes out of them, you press on that tip when the paint comes out of them. In fact, I can show that. If you can pan down here, babe. When that paint comes out, it's got a ball roller in it. When that paint comes out, it tends to kind of puddle like that. And that's the part that kind of makes me nervous that I might not be able to control it. And I think, I can't remember if these are water-based or not, or oil-based. Actually, I can't remember. But anyway, that's the part that the control factor that I'm a little nervous about. So, what I'm going to use as an alternative, let me move that out of the way now, is these are two different kinds. I've used both of these. These are two different brands, Valspar and Rust-Oleum, but they're both water-based latex. It works really well. I like the water-based. It's easier to use, easier to clean up, and if you need to thin it a little bit, you just use a little water to thin it. When I didn't do the guy with the eye, but another one that I painted some red on. Actually, on the Smoking Tire, I actually thinned this a little bit because it was a little too thick. I've used the yellow before, and the consistency is perfect. It's exactly what I want, actually, on the yellow. So let me show you how I do this. I've already actually opened up this can, and I shook it, and that's what you definitely want to do that. See? That's why I've got the paper now. You definitely want to shake this stuff. I'm not going to use the red today. All I'm going to use is the yellow. So what I like to have is some little cups, depending on on how you're going to do it. I like the little cups to use, or you can just go right out of the can. I like to have some little Q-tips nearby and some paper towels for cleanup in case I end up doing something.
And some water.
And some water. I showed the water.
Oh, you did?
Didn't
Okay.
you just see that?
No.
I showed the water. So anyway, so here I am going to put my magnifiers back on, and you can see that what I need to paint is the arrow and those spots and then the LANE. So what I'm going to do, what I always try to do when I'm painting, which again is, I don't really like to do it, but in this particular case, what did I do with my paintbrush? Didn't I have it right here?
Mm-hmm.
Thought I had it here somewhere.
You did. Look under your paper towel there. Look under your sign.
Oh, there it is. Okay. We don't edit. We're just going to roll. All right.
Oh
So what I like to do, because I'm right-handed, is anything that's going to be colored, I like to start on the left and move my way this way. If I started here, then I would be constantly trying to, have my hand on stuff I've already painted. So I like to start from the left and move to the right. If I was left-handed, I would do it the opposite way. So I'm going to look at my logo here. And again, I've already shook this. So and I know it's about the right consistency, so I need to paint that top deal there. And again, one of the reasons that I like using the brush in this instance, oh, we do not need the wind messing with me. Oh, I've got the doors open for light, guys. So anyway, let's I like to be able to really have control of exactly where that paint is going to go. So what I've got on this, and again, the conversations that I've had with guys over the last week or two is that most people are putting the paint on and then putting the finish on top of that. Well, I've never done it that way, or actually I have done it that way, but I've never been happy with the results. Now, again, I'm not a painter, as you can tell. I'm much more comfortable with a router in my hand than a paintbrush. But what we have learned, my experience, is that some finishes, if you put on top of color, number one, you may have a problem with the finish changing the color so that the color isn't what you really want, and you end up painting on top of it anyway. And number two, that
you can't talk and paint at the same time.
yeah, sorry. And then the second thing is, I was going to make a point here. What the point was I making? You're right, I can't do two things at once. I can route and talk at the same time. So my other point is that, oh yeah, that's what it was. In some instances, where I've tried that, put the color on first, and there's actually 3 good points. The color on first, and then the finish on top of that. I've had the finish actually cause the paint to, like, orange peel or actually cause a reaction. Man. Cause a reaction to the paint by putting the finish on top of it. So I'm sure I'm going to hear comments on this of why maybe some of you do it the opposite way, but this is just the way I do it, guys. And now, depending on how, I may end up putting a second coat on this, thinning it out a little bit, because I really want it to be, this is one I really want to have a nice uniform cover on here. And then the other reason is that when you put the paint on bare wood, the paint tends to soak in like a sponge. So you may have to put 2 or 3, 4 coats in order to get it to sit on top, and then you never, for me, because I really don't know the composition and the chemical stuff of how the finish is going to affect the actual color, the color from a color standpoint, and whether it's going to orange peel or fish eye or do screwy things. I don't like the idea of that. So that's the reason, that's the 3 reasons that I always put the paint on over over the finish after it's completely done. You getting all that, babe?
Uh-huh.
You guys can tell, obviously, painting ain't my thing, but I can make it work. So, I'm gonna do one more, and then you guys, I think will get the gist of what I'm trying to do here. I think I might have been better off thinning this out, even though I have pretty good control on it. I think I might have been better off thinning this out a little bit, but we'll see. We'll see how it dries up. Sometimes it will kind of flow out as it dries. It will kind of smooth out. But I may end up putting another coat on it. I'm not sure. We'll see. But these collaborations, guys, are working out pretty well for me. I've got actually several of them in the works right now, besides this one. But this guy's got a really cool show. I really like it. All right. Should I do more or leave it at that?
Do one of the letters.
I'll do the big L, so you can see. Wow, did you hear that?
Mm-mm.
Good.
Your tummy growling?
Yeah, I haven't had breakfast yet. So my stomach's churning. So I want to try and get a nice, smooth uniform. And again, guys, if you have better suggestions, I'm open. Let me know. I know Dennis back in one of the Dakotas is a painting guru. That guy really knows his stuff. He does a lot of metal flake stuff. And so Dennis, I'm sure I'm probably doing something wrong that you're screaming at this at the video right now. So
Wouldn't it be better to use a whiter brush on that?
On this one?
Yeah.
Well, I don't. Number one, I don't have a whiter brush other than brushing the stuff on. I think it'll flow out, but I think we'll see how it dries up. I may end up putting a second coat on and thin it out a little bit and put a second coat on. So give me your guys' experience with this stuff, because I'm open. I don't do this very often, but for these collaborations, that's where I'm kind of forced into it. In some cases, sometimes not, but in some cases, I'm kind of forced into it because these are not something that the customer is going to be willing to paint. They're not a customer in essence. So I really don't like the way, see, it's starting to flow out a little bit there, but I may just use that as a base coat and go back and put a second coat on it and try and get it to flow out. So you guys get the gist of what I'm trying to accomplish there. And the neat thing is the water base just cleans up really well, really easy. So I'm probably gonna stop right there before I screw it up on camera.
Well, you want to hold it up? So.
Yeah.
Hold on, I have to sneeze.
Bless you.
Excuse me. Sorry.
I'll hold it up a little bit. Can you get in on that? Anyway, guys, if you're into cars, check out some of these Car Channel collaborations I'm doing. This guy's got like I say, he's funny. He's a comedian / actor, and he really makes it entertaining. They do a great job on this show.
Okay.
So, I guess that's about it.
Put the lid on your paint so it doesn't
Yeah.
fly.
All right. Be sure and seal that up. I'll tap that down with my mallet. Make sure it's sealed up. So that's my 2 cents on the painting thing. Again, it's not my favorite thing to do, but sometimes I'm kind of forced into it. So let me know what you guys think. Hey, I'm open, but I've always been a proponent of putting the color on last after the finish is completely done. It's always worked out best for me doing it that way. So I guess that's about it. Tomorrow morning we'll have another memory from Dad. He'll be talking about another country music star. I don't know who he's going to do tomorrow. We got to film it tonight. Let's see, what else am I forgetting? I guess that's about it. Again, thank you for all of the people that are on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, all of that stuff. I'm going to start engaging a lot more on Instagram because I've got quite a few followers on there. So Make a Wood Sign is my name on Instagram. You guys, most of you guys know how to get a hold of me. If there's any questions, anything I can help you with, let me know. I'd be happy to do that. And then tomorrow morning you'll see Dad. Monday morning, Vicki and me will be back on Coffee and Questions. So everybody have a great weekend. A week from tomorrow is the LTS. We'll start talking about that on Monday's Coffee and Questions. So we'll get ready for the LTS a week from tomorrow. So everybody have a great weekend, and we'll see you tomorrow on Dad's Memories. Have a great night. Bye-bye.